Hello students, today's topic is for discussion is cache memory. I have already uploaded the contents on the university website of the memory management and memory organization, but cache memory is one of the very important terms which is needed to be discussed. Here we are discussing about the following terms of the cache memory in form of introduction, functionality, performance, cache mapping and cache replacement policies. First of all, we come on the introduction that what is cache memory. Cache memory is the fastest memory which is placed between the main memory and the CPU. Cache memory is nothing just a segment of the static RAM which is placed between the main memory and central processing unit. Cache memory contains those amount of data which are currently required for execution, means those instructions which are currently needed by the processor, only that contents are stored in the cache memory. Currently executing instructions are needed, but cache memory is also used for the data transmission between main memory to cache memory and cache memory to CPU. When cache memory transfers its information to the CPU on the requirement of any data, then it transfers those information in forms of words. But when that data is not found inside the cache memory and CPU requests to retrieve the data from the main memory, then main memory transfers the complete block to the cache memory, and from that particular segment, from that particular block, the specific words are transferred to the central processing unit. CPU contains some basic components like ALU, control unit, and CPU register. It is the nearest memory to the CPU, because when we talk about memory hierarchy, then first of all CPU, then CPU registers, then cache memory, then main memory, and then secondary memory is used. These memories are organized in form of high read write or high access time speed. Then in those manner we can say that cache memory is at the top level of the memory hierarchy, so the read write speed of the cache memory is the highest. Then we talk about the functionality of the cache memory. Cache memory basically works on the functionality of locality of reference. Locality of reference means when any information is required by the processor, when any operations are executed by the processor, then processor requires for some data or some information, then first of all that information is checked inside the cache memory. When that information is retrieved via cache memory, when the information is found inside the cache memory, then it is called hit. And when CPU gets unable to retrieve the information from the cache memory and it has to request to access that data from the main memory, then it is called miss. Now we talk about the, again coming on the topic, locality of reference means it works on the concept of locality of reference means when the data is required by the processor, then first of all it is searched inside the cache memory. Cache memory provides the data to the CPU, which reduces the access time of the data from the main memory. Then we talk about the locality of reference. It works in three dimensions: temporal, spatial, and sequential. What are temporal locality of reference? Temporal means for when any subroutine or any function is called for the execution, when any loop is called for the execution, then it requires the similar data to access for many times. When any loop is executing or any subroutine is called, then the process uses that particular data until that subroutines or that function gets end. So in that case, the particular amount of data which is required iteratively by the processor, that is clustered and sent to the cache memory, and it is assumed that when multiple times CPU requires to the same data, then it is found inside the cache memory, which reduces the access time and page fault. So temporal is the general considered dimension of the locality of reference, which is very useful, And secondly, we come to the spatial reference. Spatial reference is considered as the clustering of those elements or data which are nearest to one another, means the contents which are neighbor of another content that are clustered together. And we can say that it is useful when a table or array is used for the access of data. Then that particular array index or table that is transferred to the cache memory, and one by one it accesses that particular data in form of table or index. Then we talk about the third mode of the locality of reference, that is sequential reference. In sequential reference, there is no any strategy made, as the program is written in form of that sequence. The data is accessed by the processor. In that case, we need various cache replacement policies which are required to time transfer the data from the cache memory and create the vacant spaces for the next execution. So in sequential locality of reference, there are made up of some strategies for cache replacement policies which we will discuss later. And after this, we come on the performance. The performance of the cache memory can be discussed later in the next lecture of cache memory. Thank you.